Hello and welcome back to Brew Games Brewery Report. I'm Joe Evans,
And I'm Adam Eliason.
and we're here to give you a report on a brewery that Adam had the opportunity to go and see during the summer, during
That's
his
right.
little road trip.
That's right. I went to Portland back in July and August, so I may have forgotten a few things because it's now November. But so forgive me. But I went to Portland with my girlfriend, and we went and looked at a few breweries. And I had tweeted to Rogue, because we've had a lot of Rogue beers, to see if they had what time they were doing their tours. And then I got a direct message from a guy named Danny who said he ran the Buckman Botanical Brewery, which was owned by Rogue, and he gives tours at 4 p.m. So I said, okay, sure. If he's willing to send me a message, I'll absolutely go take a look. So we got there, and the first thing I noticed is, even though it's owned by Rogue, there's no Rogue signs or paraphernalia anywhere. You wouldn't know it was owned by Rogue. And I think I know why. I would have to go off on a tangent to kind of explain why.
Okay.
I talked to some of the locals about this, and they said because Rogue has become so popular like around the world that they're kind of not really liked in Portland anymore. Because Portland's full of hipsters.
Super, yeah.
Once something, it's everyone likes something, they got to move on to something else. I don't know, but. So apparently it's the same for Voodoo Donuts. Nobody in Portland goes to Voodoo Donuts.
No, it's just a big, huge tourist spot now.
Tourist spot. Everyone goes to Blue Star Donuts.
Okay, yeah, I heard about that one.
I went to both, in the interest of finding out which is better.
Yeah.
And I would say Blue Star is actually better.
Okay.
They don't have as many crazy flavors, but they're just so fresh and so delicious that absolutely. The Voodoo Donuts were really good too, though. I was impressed. But back to the beer. Yeah, there's no Rogue signs anywhere.
Okay.
Which I thought was interesting because the Buckman Brewery used to be independent, and then they were going under, and Rogue saved them, I guess, bought them out and saved them, kept them going. So I don't know why they have such or Portland has such ill will towards them.
Right.
Because they saved this pub. And this pub even has like this nano brewery system. It's like a half barrel system that anyone can come in and try.
Okay.
And like make their own beer with. So they don't have to have their own kit, I guess. So I thought that was really cool. And then even during the tour, a guy from a new startup brewery came in and got some yeast from Danny. So they really help out the community, which I thought was great.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So onto the beer, I guess. We got the Apple Beer from Buckman Botanical Brewery, which is the only one they had in bottles. They had lots on tap, lots of delicious ones on tap, but this is the only one they had bottled.
Okay. So
this is the one we're going to try. It's the only one I could bring back, which I guess isn't a bad thing because I probably never would have picked an apple beer to bring back.
Yeah.
But
you kind of got forced into it.
Yeah, so now we're going to try something I wouldn't normally have tried, which is part of the reason why we do this show.
Yeah.
So.
And it's actually, when you first came over, I noticed on the bottle, most apple beers, or any fruit beer for that matter, you're looking at like between 3%, maybe 5%.
Yep.
Usually on the lower end. And this bad boy is at 8%, which caught my eye right away. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah. So if you want to start pouring,
sure.
I'll talk a little bit more about it. So Danny is the guy who runs the brewery. He's also the guy who contacted me on Twitter, and he does everything. He comes up with the ideas. He does the brewing. He does the bottling and kegging, and arranges like shipping and everything.
Okay.
So
apparently he does PR as well.
Yeah. So he's like one man show. So props to him. So I asked him what did he do to be able to run this by himself?
Yeah.
Rogue is a big company. You think they'd have a lot of people involved with this. What did he do to be able to basically have his own brewery?
Yeah. And
he said he spent 1 year with the Rogue brewmaster, and that was it. Now he's. So what are your thoughts?
It's got a good aroma to it.
I can smell apple already. Yeah.
Yeah. Finally, when you first pour it, you smell it, but then it kind of just lingers away almost in a way. It does not taste like an 8% beer.
Really?
So it'll be interesting to see what happens after we get through this. So yeah, if you're looking at the percentage and you're getting kind of off put by that number, if you split one of these with somebody, I think you'll be just fine.
Yeah, for sure.
It doesn't have that alcohol taste to it.
Not
You're
at
not
all.
getting singed or anything like that. So
Right.
it's quite mellow.
Even
you
the
do
taste of apples isn't overwhelming, I find. Like, I was
Yeah.
expecting almost like a cider type thing, but
Yeah, exactly.
no, this is actually really good.
Yeah.
Didn't look up what kind of beer it was, though. I forgot.
Well, obviously it's an apple beer, but I
Yeah.
noticed it has Belgian yeast
Nice.
in there. What else are they using? They're
Says-
using 2-row malt, the Cascade and Sterling hops, and water. And then the two different types of apples. They're using Golden Delicious and Gala, which would make sense, but it doesn't have that big apple taste to it.
Yep,
Both Gala and Golden Delicious are more of a muted kind of apple.
for sure. That's a very good point.
Yeah.
So a little bit more about this brewery I have.
Okay.
I guess this is like Rogue's experimental brewery. Whereas like they'll call Danny up and say, you know, Rogue Farms has a bunch of this left over. What can you do with this? And he'll come up with something. And I guess it'll come up under the Buckman label. There's one pressing question I should have asked but didn't. And what ideas has he come up with that made it to the Rogue lineup?
Yeah.
And I really should have asked that, but I didn't. So. Maybe we can email him and find out.
Yeah.
But one last thing, I guess, is they make their own barrels, which I guess is not very common at all.
No. Usually they'd have a barrel maker.
Yeah.
Or they'd buy them from another
company
that's done with their barrels and they just want it for the oak, not so much for what's inside of it.
No, yeah, exactly. But no,
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so if you're
that's very Portland of them.
Yeah. But if you're in Portland, and I'd highly recommend going there, seeing Danny, because he's the only guy running the show. Like if he has to run into the city or anything, and there's obviously no tour at 4.
Yeah.
It's he's not there. So you're supposed to email him, I think, and see if he's going to be there. Give him a call, and he'll make sure he's around or let you know. But I'd highly recommend going. It's a very neat setup, and I don't think you can get this in Canada. I asked him if you can get any of his stuff in Canada. He said no.
Yeah, their production's probably too small.
It's a pretty small setup. I forget how many barrels, but
yeah,
it's not large. But if you can find this in the States, or maybe eventually it'll come to Canada, I'd recommend this for sure.
I wouldn't be surprised if you're in like the Vancouver area. You might be able to find some bottles if there's a craft niche store.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, it's not too far from Portland, so I can see it coming up through there.
No, you're right.
Yeah,
that's a good point. But that's pretty much all I have.
All right.
So,
well, that's awesome.
This has been episode 2 of the Brew Games Brewery Report.
Yep.
Thank you, Danny, at Buckman Botanical Brewery.
Yeah, thank you. And we'll be planning to do a lot more of these, especially after the new year. Big Rock just celebrated their 30th, I think it was.
Something like that, yeah.
So Big Rock is a big brewery here in Calgary, celebrating 30 years this year. Unfortunately, we had to miss the party they had, but we'll definitely be lining up, meeting them. And there's some new ones in Calgary that I want to check out as well, like Dandy. Yeah. Dandy's a new one that just started this year, and Craft Cellars has their stuff on tap usually.
Wow.
So you can get it as a growler, or even just sample it, and their stuff so far is really good.
Right on. I'll have to give that a try.
Yeah, for sure.
Right, well,
until then, cheers.
Cheers.